science knowledge only adds to the excitement, the mystery, and the awe of a flower.
Evidence is evidence. It's public. Everybody can look at the evidence and assess it, and eventually, if there's enough evidence, come to the same conclusion.
For newcomers and old-timers alike, the Chloe Sanctuary hopes to give you insight into the health and happiness of your companion parrots. We hope to help you build happy homes using reliable and proven tools. The best homes are built on a rock-solid foundation. And the best foundation for a happy home is the bedrock of science. When we stand on the shoulders of giants, the scientists who have worked long and diligently to understand our companions, we can reach new heights of understanding. And understanding is the key to success.
I think treated, most of these birds have a good prognosis, and I would say in...
What does avian veterinary medicine have to tell us about our feathered friends? How can we prevent illness, see the signs of disease before it's too late, and care for our birds through ill health? What light does behavioral science shed on their nature, needs, and hopes? How can the tools of behavior shaping make our homes happier for us and our companions?
Shake.
How can we deal with biting, screaming, or other misbehavior? What is it like to live among parrots? Let them roam around about you and share a life with them. How much freedom do you give them? What happens if you form a bond of trust with them? Watch and see what understanding their true nature can do for you. Come with us on a journey as we do more than examine a parrot's world. We live in it. Make some popcorn and bring in a few wood blocks. Let everyone have something to chew and a comfortable place to perch. Cockatude is a presentation of the Chloe Sanctuary for Parrots and Cockatoos, a nonprofit charity dedicated to the empowerment of captive parrots and public awareness.
Hi, Lucy and Cause and I would like to, yes, isn't that right? Would like to ask you to join us on Patreon and donate on a per episode basis. We do 2 major videos every month, and if you could donate just $1 for each one of those, it would make a big difference in their lives. So go out to Patreon/Chloe Sanctuary and join up, become a patron, and help us out. What do you say? What do you say, Lucy? What do you say, Cause? Cause, you say cockatoo? Cause, cockatoo? We'd really appreciate it if you'd become a patron. And if you could donate even $1 per episode, that's 2 episodes a month, just a couple of bucks would really help us out. So please, today, sign up at Patreon and help Lucy out, okay? Hi. Hi, and welcome to Cockatude, episode 62. Even this shall pass. This is our quarterly update on our birds, and it gives us an opportunity, gives me an opportunity, to describe the different changes that are going on. These guys are not, they're not static, they change, and we have to keep changing the way that we work with them. As you can see, someone has learned to open her wing when she's touched up here. She's learning her veterinary behaviors, aren't you, Lucy? Yeah. So today we have with us Babaloo and Lorelei, Pippa, Sal the salamander. Hi, Sal. Coco, Peaches. Did you want dinner? You got the fork over there. Huh? Looks like you want dinner, doesn't it? And we also have Sugar. Sugar. Sugar girl. So we got a pretty big crew in here today, don't we? Yeah. And Bob learned to preen from Lorelei, and now he's got his teacher there, and he's preening her. She's good about teaching everybody to preen. When you get a larger number of birds in a sanctuary or a rescue, you can have one bird teaching another bird to do things. And Lorelei is our resident preening trainer. Pippa, you don't have a job yet. No, you're just comic relief, Pippa. Yes, you are. The comic relief up there. And fanning me. You're very good about that. Yeah. Yeah. Sal, what are you doing over there, big boy? So what we do in these episodes is we talk about each of the birds here and what kind of changes they're going through. We're going to start with Salamander. Sal. He's doing really well. His vital statistics, his physical statistics are fine. He's maintaining his weight. He's eating well. He's eating a variety of foods. Behaviorally, he still has his scream, as this is an example from before I came in the room. So he has, hi, what a good little dance you're doing. Yes, what a good boy. What a good dance. Good boy, Salamander, good boy. Oh, good boy, Salamander. Now with him, he has the, he's making a sound that came from Dumb and Dumber. You know, when Jim Carrey says this is the most irritating sound. He learned it from Sugar, and she does. Yeah, I know. She does it very quietly. She just kind of cries, and you amplify it 100 times. Actually, yeah, that's right, Salamander. It kind of sounds like you're killing a small child. It's one of the more horrific sounds. So, I've gone through quite a repertoire on this. I've used several forms of positive reinforcement. I've used positive reinforcement with extinction. So, in other words, I've added things into the environment. I know. To reinforce behaviors that I like that sound. See, I'll tend to talk to him when he makes those really cute sounds, like that, right, Salamander? I've even used some negative punishment. Negative punishment's taking away things in order to reduce or extinguish a behavior. That's all punishment is. It's reducing or extinguishing a behavior. It doesn't mean hitting somebody with a stick. That's the common term. We're using the actual behavioral science term, okay? So, negative punishment, he starts making that sound. I've taken him out of the cage he's in, put him in his night cage. I tried that, and then take him back to his regular cage, and then as soon as he starts doing it, dragging him back to his night cage. And he likes to play with paper, nesting, and there are a couple of factors I had in that. That's Chloe out there crying. She wants to be in here, but she's an instigator. She'll be in here after we've done the video. So what I tried to do there was take away his nesting materials. He likes to chew newspaper. So I took those away. That helped with one of his issues, which is not liking to come out of his cage. It helped with that. He was much more ready to come out of his cage in the morning and more ready to come out of his cage when you asked him in the main bird room. But it didn't slow down the vocalizations at all. So there are other interventions I tried, but I went through a huge list of the repertoire that we behaviorists use. So, and I had just heard about one on an ABA podcast that I listened to. It is ignorance of Bob's nature that turned Babaloo into a living gargoyle. Bob's would-be parents made a hasty choice and found themselves in living hell, torn between guilt and frustration. I have seen the joy in Babaloo's eyes now that he has a new life with me as his companion. To see Babaloo love and trust again is worth the effort of a lifetime. But, once again, Bob is heading toward the pain of separation. My heart nearly broke the day I discovered that he was heading toward a cloacal prolapse, that his life will be cut short. To find love and acceptance and then have it stolen away from you by failing health is too much to bear. We can slow the progress of his failing health, but we can't stop it. He will need several surgeries, and eventually Babaloo will die. We want to give him the best possible life until that day. His surgeries will become progressively more expensive over time. Won't you please lend Babaloo a hand and donate to his medical fund today? Our donation button is on our webpage at www.chloesanctuary.org. Just be sure to say, "For Bob," in the notes when you donate. And I had just heard about one on an ABA podcast that I listened to. It's called NCRE. It's non-contingent reinforcement with extinction. Okay, let me put that in simple terms. What that means is that it's non-contingent, so it doesn't matter what they do. It's not contingent on any behavior. You give them a reinforcer, which really isn't a reinforcer because you're not reinforcing anything. You're just giving them a reinforcer. Now, you can do this on a schedule, like every minute I give them this, or every 5 minutes I give them this, and you keep repeating the reward. You can also do it on no schedule, so an intermittent schedule, so that you give it to them after 5 minutes, you give it to them after 15. You just give it to them here and there, okay? You're going to keep reinforcing nothing. In other words, you're just praising them, giving them a treat. Doesn't matter what they do. Now, when you say with extinction, that means that if they start doing the behavior you don't like, you just ignore it. Now, there's always, I've mentioned this many times before, but it can't be said enough, that you don't want to do extinction. You don't want to just ignore a behavior and not do anything else. Because in most cases, that makes it get worse. Just like, and I've used this example before, but I'm going to do it quickly again. If a friend's walking down the street and you go, "Hey, Joe," and he doesn't turn around, and you go, "Hey, Joe," and he doesn't turn around, then you go, "Hey, Joe," and he turns around. The next time you see him walking down the street, you're probably not going to go, "Hey, Joe." You're probably going to at least use the next louder volume automatically. And that's what happens. That's why you don't use extinction by itself. Some professionals will, in very rare circumstances, do it, but you need to know what you're doing, or you're going to have an extremely loud bird. Or you're going to increase the biting, or you're going to increase the situation you don't want. So what I started doing, which is a total change, just coming up to him, praising him, giving him his favorite treat, which is papaya. So give him a little piece of papaya, and I'm doing that intermittently. I'm not using a schedule, so he'll say something. Now, if he says something nice, I positively reinforce it. He makes a sound I like, I reinforce it positively. I'm doing that. But I still just walk up and say, "Oh, salamander, how are you doing?" and give him a treat. Well, now, I haven't heard of anyone using NCRE with any birds yet. It's, I say new. It's a technique that hasn't been around for a decade, so it's not in common use by all practitioners. So I may be the first one trying this on birds. If I were going to do that in here, and it would be nice if they all like something like a sunflower seed. If I could give every one of them a sunflower seed on an intermittent schedule just once in a while, we would see how that works with birds. I'm planning on starting that. I won't be able to do it scientifically, though, because I won't have anybody to record it. I could record it on video, but I can't control the situation. I don't have anyone else to help me control that. But I'll tell you what's happening with him. He's much less likely to make that sound. He'll do it. He'll do it if I'm not in the room, especially. But generally, if I'm in the room, right, Sal? Yeah, salamander. Generally, and that was right there, that was a non-contingent reinforcer. That was social reinforcer. I just said to him without him having to do anything for it. I found that just giving him that extra attention and being positive with him on an intermittent schedule, his volume. Now I'm a little biased. None of this is scientific, but I'd say he's doing it maybe a quarter of the time compared to what he was doing it when I started this process over 2 weeks ago. So let's go through that one more time. It's called non-contingent reinforcement with extinction. It's not really reinforcement because you're not reinforcing any behavior. You're just giving them a treat or praise or whatever it is intermittently or on a schedule. Okay, so you either have a set time that you're doing it every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, every minute, whatever. But it doesn't matter what they're doing. Okay? I would not do it, I say with extinction, I will not give him that treat if he's making the sound. Okay? But that's because I'm trying to extinguish that particular behavior. So I'm not going to hand a reinforcement. I'm not going to hand a reinforcer to him at that time. But any other time, no matter what he's doing. See, if I were doing the non-contingent reinforcement and I wasn't doing extinction, then it wouldn't matter whether he was making that sound. And the only time that's going to change, whether I give him that reinforcer, what are you doing, Lorelei, is going to be based on him making the sound that I don't want. Otherwise, he gets it, whenever. If I come in, if I'm in a situation where I feel like giving him that reinforcer for nothing, I do. And if he's doing a positive behavior, I'll reinforce it. But he still gets a reinforcer regardless of what he's doing. So we'll see later on how that works with everybody else. I'm hoping that will actually help with a group situation when you start to have birds that are causing trouble. What are you doing? What are you doing over there, Peach? Just sitting? You're just sitting? Bob's chewing. At least he's doing something. You didn't get the dinner you wanted? What did you want me to do? Order pizza or something? Peaches. Peaches, you look sleepy. She was all fired up when she came in here. So let's make Peaches the next one. What do you say, Peach? What do you say, Peach? Now, a behavior she started recently, and it started out gentle. I'd go to get her out of the cage in the morning, and she would turn away from me, and I'd have to talk to her for maybe 10 or 15 seconds to get her to come out. Well, by just about 2 weeks ago, she had stretched that to where it might take me up to 5 to 10 minutes, or I may have to come back to her cage several times to get her to come out. So now she likes verbal reinforcement. Anyway, so now what I've been doing is when I go to her cage, I talk sweet to her, grab her feet, grab one foot, keep talking sweet, then slide my other hand under her, and just give her as much attention as I possibly can, and that's turning it around now where she's not arguing about getting out of a cage. Now, at first it was cute. I've mentioned that before. When it seems cute that a bird's doing something, but later on it can become a problem. Let's say that you have a schedule. You have to get your bird out of the cage to get them into their day cage. I think you should have a night and day cage. So you need to get them out, or you need to get them back in because they're going to work, and they won't go. Okay? Now, at first, that might have started as you go to, say, step up, and they just walk to the edge of the perch. That's where you should start to catch it, right there, okay? I didn't do that with her because she's so cute. And before long, it was, almost the end of getting everyone else out before she would come out of a cage. Now she's back to getting out of the cage on her schedule, which is the first bird. She's the first one to come out. So, again, the method I'm using is just to flood her with reinforcement for just being her. It's really a non-contingent reinforcement. Say, hey, Peaches, come on, let's go get breakfast. And do that whole thing, put my hand down and grab a hold of her foot. Now, she would pull away before when I did that. So I had to be sneaky about it and just keep talking as I do all this to get her to come out. Now, if I caught it early on, it wouldn't have been so big of a problem. She's also become much more animated and interested in things. She's currently off of her medicine for feather destructive behavior. She goes through periods during the year where she won't pluck. She only plucks her chest because her neck has 6 fused vertebrae, so she only plucks her chest. As long as she's not plucking, then I can take her off the medicine. So right now she's not on any meds. She's eating better. She's going into her cage and eating right off the bat. She had a period where she wasn't doing that, and I had to encourage her to eat. And now what I do, I try to distract her when I got her in the cage, and she has, I wouldn't recommend this for all birds, because putting an electronic toy in there, they've got strong beaks. They could, even if it's a hard plastic toy, they could break it and possibly get to that battery. That's not going to happen with Peaches. She's not going to tear her toys up. She loves her puppy piano, and she's got another toy very similar to it. Actually, 3 toys very similar to it. So she goes in her cage, and I hit the button, and she can hear her puppy piano and watch the lights flash, and then she goes straight to eating. So getting her involved with the toy, talking to her as she goes in the cage, making the toy make some noise, you know, it seems to be encouraging her to eat. Now, when you have a bird that's got an injury like she does, eating is not a pleasant thing. I mean, you're only eating because you need to in a lot of cases. And she can walk away from food. So she gets a wide variety of food. She's encouraged to eat. What are you doing, you silly bird? You're very silly. Don't get too close to the human mouth. It's a nasty thing, okay?
Peaches is an amazing personality. Her daily maintenance requires dedication and mindfulness. She requires 2 forms of medicine, 7-course meals, and effort to entice her to eat. Extensive preening every day, special tools to trim nails, constant attention to her vocalizations, daily walks, and twice yearly checkups due to the possibility of impacted feather follicles and the nature of her spinal injuries. It seems a common misconception among the general public that parrots are like toys in a toy box. Nothing could be further from the truth. They are complex creatures. Recently, scientific studies have shown them to be at least as intelligent as chimpanzees. Every captive parrot needs special humans who will dedicate themselves to understanding them, those who know their species as it lives in the wild, special people that understand their social, mental, and physical needs. They need to be understood for what they are, and not as merely human companions, as circus performers to bring smiles. Peaches needs all this and more. She is our special girl. Will you help us care for Peaches? Please make a donation today at our website, chloesanctuary.org. That's spelled CHLOESANCTUARY.org. As a special thank you for your donation, we will joyfully send you a postcard with Peaches' happy face.
You don't want to get too close to a human mouth. Okay, Pippa? Pippa, now let's talk about the little Pip. Now this one, her primaries are looking better. She's still chewing a little bit up here. You can see how the feathers are curled, but she's not ripping them out anymore. Come on, Pip, let's show them. Let's show them. She's not getting any feathers back on her chest. Now she's a bird that will actually pick these down feathers and eat them. So it's taken a while to get her dosage to where it needs to be. She takes haloperidol for the feather plucking. I know some people say that they don't care if their bird looks like this. All they care about is their happiness. Well, the reason they pluck is due to anxiety. So if you don't care if they're anxious all the time and that they're nervous and they're not feeling good, well, you see, you do care. You just don't realize that's the reason they look like that. It's because they have anxiety. So you want to treat the anxiety. The other side of it is if they're pluckers, in the end, most pluckers will pluck themselves to death. They'll actually pluck the feathers out. They'll start working, depends on the bird, but they'll start working their chest or their legs or their wings until eventually they're cutting their own flesh. Then they get an infection and die. So you do need to treat this condition because it's generally fatal. It's not just the way they look. The way they look mirrors what's going on inside, and you've got to treat what's inside. Right, Pippa? Oh, Pippa. Now she's eating well. She's transiting over to our food. She's eating about a quarter as much of her own food, the stuff she came here with. I think this is the last batch I'm going to buy of the Supreme. And she's found a lot of other things she likes in the diet. She likes our mash. She likes walnuts. So she's getting that. And she gets the ruddy bush pellets, and she eats those too. So she's almost transited over to that. Her gripping is not as bad as it used to be. And when she used to grip my fingers, you could lose the circulation in the end of your finger from her grip. Yeah, you had a really strong grip when you came here, didn't you? You did. You had a very strong grip. Yeah. But she's gotten much better about that, haven't you, baby? Mm-hmm. She doesn't seem to be as aggressive towards women now. I'm working on that. I don't have as much opportunity. We don't have that many people stop by. We have a couple of volunteers, but they're only here for short periods during the week. And I don't generally take her out for that, but she saw Debbie yesterday and didn't lunge for her. She didn't lunge when Debbie came by, and she was within about 8 feet of Debbie and didn't react. Now, part of that too was she was having her nails trimmed, so her mind was more on that than it was on something else. This is called a motivating operation. It used to be called an establishing operation. And what you're doing there is you got her, she's so caught up in having her nails, she was like the last foot was being done, so she was so caught up in having her nails done, and she was so focused on that having someone else come in the room, she didn't really care. She was just watching her feet. So she's doing well socially with the other birds. I hadn't mentioned that about Salamander. His socializing with the other birds is much better than it's been. She's doing really well with socializing too. Now you need to loosen. The way I get her to loosen her grip is by massaging her foot a little bit. Just massaging it a little bit. Like this. Just massaging it. Yeah, thank you, baby, for loosening up. Yeah, what a good girl. And then when she loosens her grip, I talk nice to her. I'm reinforcing her socially. Right, girl? You're not going to eat my clothing, you little toad. Now, baby girl, yes, you are a baby girl. But you don't need to eat my clothing. No, I'm not going to do that. This little minx, Lorelei, I tell you, she just loves to eat clothing. You should have been a moth, not a cockatoo. This one, she's doing well on her medication. She's not chewing her feathers anymore. I noticed, though, that she has an unusual time to do that. She tends to chew her feathers early in the morning, so I get up, and I'm not a morning person, or as they said in one British show, I'm not a morning person. But I'm not a morning person, but I have to go in and get her medicine to her right away. Because once she sees me walk through there, she's going to start going for her feathers. So, which again, that's normally when they'll do it, is when you're around. But, so I get her medicine first thing in the morning. That's changed from our last video. So, she's eating a wider variety of food now. And I'm noticing that she's leaving the nutriberries, which are not the best food for them. There's just a little too much seed in there. But she's leaving those nutriberries, and she's eating the other food. She's particularly fond of almonds. She's not allowed to have pine nuts anymore, though. And it may have had something to do with her beak, which we're still working on it, but it's almost to normal. I got another month or two to get the top of her beak the way I'd like it to be, a little shorter. It's perfect for eating. It doesn't affect her eating at all the way it is. But I've already taken off about a ½ inch. And the vet took off about a ¼ inch, so we've shortened it quite a bit. But she doesn't mind having it worked on, so I use the Dremel on it. And I take a little bit off every 2 days. The nerves run pretty long in here, so you want to take it off a little at a time. It can be pretty painful to take off a lot at one time, right, baby girl? Right, baby girl? And all the birds' weights are normal, so I'm not going to go through individual birds and talk about their weight, but her weight's good and staying stable, and she's taken to sitting on my shoulder, and she's got a new behavior that I'm working with, which is she will yell at me when she wants something, so I'm trying to change that sound from more like a honking sound into something more pleasant. Not that it affects me, I don't care, it doesn't bother me, I just don't think it's a good behavior for her to have. You know, later on down the line, I'm not going to live forever. Somebody else might find that sound irritating, and she might not be able to find a home. So it's the same with Salamander. Salamander, good boy, Salamander. That's a good boy. That's a good boy. Yeah, that's a good bird. That's a good bird. So when you have something like that, you have to think of the future as well. Right, baby? Yeah. She still likes to hitchhike. She grab a hold of your clothes when you walk by and just hang on to your clothes and go with you. I'm encouraging her to come in and be in the kitchen with me while I'm doing my cooking in the morning. And most of that's pressure cooker cooking, so we're not talking about any hot oil or anything that can affect her lungs. So getting her more social. She does have a tendency to just stare at the wall sometimes, so if I catch her doing that, I get her off into other behaviors. She was doing that when I went out to get her today. She was staring at the wall, and she's not used to being around other birds, so this is good when she gets in here and feels comfortable and the other birds are around. Right, girl? Right, girl? She's learning her veterinary behaviors. She learned to flip over. She's learned to open her wings. She's learned to let me play with her beak. Lorelei, leave my pants alone, you monster. You ditto monster. You're so silly. Lorelei's doing well. She's socializing with just about every bird here. The only bird she doesn't get along with is Cause. She's eating well, aren't you, girl? Her biggest problem is socializing with people. So whenever anybody from this, any of our volunteers or someone from the board of directors comes by, we don't actually have visitors here. We are applying to the American Sanctuary Organization, and they don't want you having visitors coming by. There's specific rules for visitors. You have to have a tour guide. It has to be an established tour, and we're not going to be doing that kind of thing here. But every opportunity I can, I get her close to people and get her interested in people, and she's starting to show more interest when people show up. She's flying over. She's one of our frequent flyers. She likes to fly, so she's been flying since she fledged, haven't you, baby? So she'll fly over close to them. Now before, she would fly high and up to a spot where she could watch them closely. A lot of distrust there, right, Lorelei? And you just don't trust those people. No. No. She has feather destructive behavior. Its onset was at adolescence. When I had to stop her from trying to mate with other birds, she started plucking. And I keep trying to drop the level of her haldol, but it just doesn't work. If you get that level down too low, she starts plucking again. Baby girl. What, sweetheart? What do you want? You need to go to the bathroom or something? You want to go up there? I think I can reach it. Here, you want to go up there? All right, you don't have to. I don't know where you want. I don't know what you want. I don't know what you want. No. You don't have to get off my hand if you don't want to. I'm also working with Lorelei so that she went up there because she had to go to the restroom. I'm also working with her to start getting her to get along with Cause. Cause is not in the room because she started having some issues with Bob again. So I'm going to be working with her and getting them over that tonight when I don't have to focus on the cameras. Right? Right? Yeah. Coco is doing extremely well. Her vocalizations in the room have dropped. If you've noticed, she hasn't been crying. She cried for a few minutes when she saw the cameras were up, and now she's doing just fine. Right, Coco? Right, Coco? She's getting a little bit nippy if you stop petting her again, so I'm working with her. Basically what I'm doing is if she gets nippy, I withdraw my hand and I stop petting her. And that seems to be working. And then as soon as I start petting her, maybe 30 seconds later, I praise her for being good. And then if she starts nipping, she doesn't hurt, she just nips, you know. Turns and gives you a beak, but doesn't actually break the skin or anything. If she does that, then I pull away again. That's extinction with rewarding good behavior. I'm probably going to put her on a schedule where I give her a treat every minute while she's not nipping. And as soon as she starts nipping, I'll reset the timer, and she can't have her treat. Her primary treat is papaya. She's not pulling any feathers. She's doing fine on her medicine. She's active and alert, aren't you, girl? The main issue I'm working with her is on the nipping. And she doesn't hurt you. It's not like she hurts you, but just remember that little nip or turn around and just where she beaks at you can turn into a real bite. So you have to make sure you catch it in the beginning. And she does it. It's obvious why she does it. She wants to get away from there. Lorelei, get off my chair. Lorelei, get off there. Lorelei, get off the chair. Lorelei, get off the chair. Come on, Lorelei. Thank you. Good girl. Good girl. That's a good girl, Lorelei. That's something else with Lorelei. I'm working with her to stay off my computer chair. There's very few spots they're not allowed to be in this room, and the computer area is one of them. So I have to reinforce that for all of them. These birds learn two ways. They learn through modeling, which is watching what someone else does, and when they get what they want, and also through vicarious learning, when a bird does something and it gets hurt in the process, or it doesn't work out in their favor, they learn that way too. So if, for example, if they saw a bird land on a hot burner, keep in mind you don't want to have hot burners around the bird, but if another bird saw that, they would avoid the burner. They're smart. They figured that out. A lot of animals just tend to learn through modeling, but these guys learn also vicariously. So, right? Right, Bob? Let's talk about Babaloo. The Babaloo. He still has his major health problem. He has a prolapse, and he had surgery, and basically had it sewn tighter. And I would say from the looks of it right now, he's got about another 2 months, give or take, before he has to go in again for another suture. He'll have I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4 more sutures, and then he'll have to go in for major surgery. So he's been screaming a little bit more lately. He makes a honking sound that he'll just go on about every 2 seconds and just keep doing it. He's been doing that a little bit more lately. So what I've been doing with him is, if only at specific times, before they get ready to go to roost for the night, I will put him in his cage if he starts that screaming. So I put him back there. In that room, you can close the door and it gets really quiet. With the main bird room, there's a gas furnace that we don't use. It's all turned off, but it's got 2 sides to it, and it echoes through the whole house if he screams. But that's not why I do it. But the reason he gets put back there is to make him realize that this is a behavior that's not going to get him something positive. So in other words, I am using negative punishment. I'm taking away something in order to lessen or extinguish a behavior. It's working. When he gets back there, he's quiet. I don't think he understands yet what's going on, but once he figures it out, he'll stop making the sound in the main bird room. He's no dummy. I haven't been able to communicate to him to the point where he understands that sound is what makes him go back there. I don't think he figures that out. Because he's a smart guy, and when he figures things out, he tends to do things that are in his favor. And going to his night cage early is not in his favor. It's going from a large cage to a small cage, so. Right, Bob? The only thing that's in there is his nightly meal, and, I mean, I know he likes that stuff, but his behavior with people is much better. He's been out in public recently, and everybody loved him, and he was dancing and having a good time, so. I actually haven't seen him make any lunges towards anybody in a good month, so I think that he's getting over that urge to lunge, and he did it where he came from because that's how he managed to keep out of the cage. If he lunged at somebody, they wouldn't put him back in the cage right away. And that was about the only way he could extend his time out of the cage. Right, Bob? Right, Bob. He's still I still call him the room monitor because he watches everybody to see what they're doing, and he has to comment on everything. If somebody else is holding a toy, he tries to get it from them. Don't you, Bob? Sugar's doing well. She's playing down here on the couch more frequently. Generally, other than when I'm doing a setup like this, I will take her and put her on the couch first, and she'll play here sometimes as much as a half an hour before she finally goes and tries to steal Salamander's spot. She goes over to steal his area, and I have to get up and put her over on her perch. She likes that perch. She likes to be up and watch everything, but don't you, Sugar? Don't you, Sugar Bird? Sugar Bird. She's eating well. She's still making that grunting sound, but it doesn't seem to be as common. Doesn't seem to be as frequent. When they start grunting, when they're pooping, that indicates they're having a problem moving the feces through their bowels. So if that motion through the colon stops, then they have to use their gut muscles to push it through, and that's where the prolapses come through. So she's eating a better diet. Her poop looks good. She was the hard one to get to eat a good diet. There's a bird that likes junk food. Right, Sugar? She's getting along better with the other birds. Coco, what are you doing? What are you doing? And with her, the major issue is getting her to socialize more with the other birds. And extend her time playing on the couch. So that's what I'm working on, and she's doing really well with it. Let's see. Covered you, talked about you, talked about you, talked about you. Now, the ones that aren't in the room, Chloe has a tendency to attack other birds. She doesn't really try to hurt them, but she flies at them and tries to get them out. Like she's trying to chase them out of the room. That's typical of mate territoriality. She and Snowball are no longer a mated pair. And she can't have babies, that's why I allowed it. She still tends to defend her area like it's a nesting area, so she's doing better about that. I'm also working with her because she was in a mated relationship. She has a tendency to ignore humans. You can talk to her and she won't even look at you. It just kind of puts her head away like this, and she doesn't do anything that you could consider negative, but she doesn't do anything that you could consider positive either. Now she talks to me. You know, she doesn't speak in English anymore, but she makes cute sounds if you start talking to her. And so I'm encouraging that, and I encourage her by petting her and saying, "Good girl." She takes that as well as you would take a treat. Snowball is doing well. The issue with Snowball is that he's gotten a little lethargic since I stopped playing Frisbee with him as often. He gets to play Frisbee a couple of times a month. He used to get to play it every day, but he just was running around acting like a crazy bird. And he was starting to appear aggressive. And I'm not sure that if, being that he played Frisbee so much, if that had some effect on his mate aggression with Chloe. But he obviously wants to play Frisbee more often, and sometimes it almost looks like he's sulking. But he does get to play it occasionally, you know, a couple of times a month. I'm going to see if there's some way I can work in a Frisbee a little bit every day without him completely losing it. I mean, it got to the point where if you walk by and he was in the back room, he'd grab the Frisbee and just look at you. Like, you know, like dogs do, grab their toy. He was just like that. Or he'd be sitting on it, staring at you. Like, let's play. And then he couldn't stop. He'd just be playing and playing and playing till he'd get tired. Then he'd just play. And there was something going on there that was not making him as friendly to other birds. I've noticed his aggression level to the other birds is way down. He used to try to chase Cause. He used to go after Chloe. And he's not doing any of that since I worked on extinguishing, in this case just lessening, his playing with the Frisbees. His aggression level has dropped. So sometimes if you see they have a certain activity, like in this case being very active, chasing something, playing with something, if they're showing aggression, if you can actually remove that, get that out of their environment, not necessarily all of it, but lessen that, then you can watch to see if that's going to affect their behavior in the long run. Roman, who has, he freaked out when I had to put him in a towel so that I could give him medicine. And he wouldn't even tolerate my hands. But now what I did is, I know there's a fine line between bravery and stupidity, as my dad used to say. I started by putting peanut butter, which he loves, that's his main treat, on just a little dollop on the end of my finger. Yes, right where all the nerve endings are, right here. And I got him to eat that off the end of my finger. It's very gentle about it. And then I moved it to here, and then I added another dollop here, and then a little bit down here, and now I can put my hand in here. I'll go for this, and I'll just leave my hand standing, and he'll reach over and get this, and then he'll go down here. In most cases, once in a while, he'll get nervous and look at me, and then what I'll do is I'll pull my hand out, I'll talk gently to him, and I'll put my hand in at a different angle where it's easier for him to get this. And if he starts to walk away or he looks nervous, turns his head at all, I back off. It's working. He's accepting my hand. He took about a year to get out of his cage the first time when he was here, so And I just didn't want to pressure him because he looked so frightened. And he's doing fine. And if I have somebody come by, a volunteer, Debbie came by and she did his nails, and he had a couple of feathers coming in on the top of his head. She did those. I could do it, but it would undo all of the work I've done so far. There's only one way I'm going to get him out of that cage. Only one, and that's with a towel. He's not coming out otherwise. Well, I can open the door, but he won't come to me once he's out. So that's not really a problem. If I want to get him back in the cage, all I have to do is walk around behind him, and then he'll walk towards his cage, and he'll get in it. But the next plan is just to open his cage door, sit there in a chair, and talk to him, read him a story. Start doing that every day. So that's my plan starting tomorrow. We'll see how that works out. When he starts seeming like that's okay, then I'm going to go to letting him out of his cage and sitting in a chair and reading a story to him and seeing if he'll come over to me while I'm doing that, if I have peanut butter in my hand. So little by little, we'll get him back to where he'll step up for me. But here's the thing. If he has to go to the vet in a hurry and I have to put him in a cage and he won't get in the cage, then I've got to towel him and I have to start all over. So I'm working hard to try to think of some other way to do that. Cecil's been a pleasure. The issue that's probably most prevalent with him is his taking a toy and jamming it in your face. If he's got a toy, he's not good about controlling it. He is getting a little better because if he touches my face with a toy, I look at him and I go, no. I say, no, don't touch me with that. He's all fired up, so he's bouncing around with the toy. Then what I'll do is I'll grab a hold of his toy and just hold it up slightly. So he has to pull on it, and I'll hold it up there, and I won't play. I'll just hold it up there until he finally lets loose a little bit. He won't let go, but he'll just kind of let loose, and then I'll let go of the toy. Then if he comes up to my face, I grab it again and hold it out. He doesn't like it being pulled away from my face. He's more of a FaceTime bird. I mean, he literally gets to my face every night, and he'll look at me like this for maybe 5 or 10 minutes. Every night. Cecil plays FaceTime bird. He's going through about 2 toys a day, so that he's got a lot of work. Most of the birds here are, a toy every couple of days. He's 2 toys a day. Right? It's pretty obvious that these guys are always changing. So keeping your eyes open to those changes and adjusting things so that you help them make better choices in their lives. Preparing them for a future that may not be with you, because at some point we're all going to die and they live a long time. Right, Peach? Right, Peach? Right, Peach? Right, Peaches? Oh, hi, Peaches. Right, Lorelei? No comment on Lorelei. Pretty quiet today. I had to do this video towards the end of the day. It's 5:30 here, and this is the time when they tend to be a little bit more relaxed. It's just before they have their night snack. So, what are you doing on the floor down there? Whoa, I'm sorry. Lucy, come here. Come on, Lucy. Bob? No. Give her a break. She just lost her balance. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. Lorelei, I don't want you on the floor down there. Come on. No. Not on the floor. Lucy, I have to... Lucy, I got to get her off the floor. No, no. Yeah, you're not going underneath the couch. Nope. That's not going to happen. Nope, you little minx. But you know what? You can say goodbye. You can say goodbye, Lorelei. Lorelei. Say goodbye to the people. Lorelei. That's not saying goodbye, it's hanging in my face. Say goodbye to the people, Lorelei. Mwah. We'll see you next time. Right, Lorelei? We welcome your feedback on our videos. We look forward to your insights, tips, questions, stories, and pictures. You can email us at cockatude@chloesanctuary.org, reach us on Twitter @ChloeSanctuary, and join with us on our Facebook Chloe Sanctuary page.
Science knowledge only adds to the excitement, the mystery, and the awe of a flower.